Welcome, everyone. This is Joe Dager, the host of the Business 901 podcast. With me today is John Latham. John is the founder of the Organizational Design Studio, which is a digital learning center and application lab for organization architects. His passion is creating frameworks that build bridges between theory and practice to help designers build and transform organizations that create sustainable value. He can be found at organizationdesignstudio.com, which includes a robust side design for learning. John, I guess the best place to start is thanks for being here and tell us about that organization design community.
Well, thanks, Joe. It's great to be here. I love your podcast, and it's just an honor to be invited. Organization design community is an interesting group because it's people that use those words, organization design, it's kind of a fragmented group. There's all kinds of people involved, and it's not really well structured and well defined. And I think part of the issue is that it's cross-disciplinary. And so anytime you have a topic that's cross-disciplinary and involves a lot of different things in an organization, there's very few real formal tracks. So the community is really a collection of leaders who are trying to change the systems in their organization or their organization, and frontline process improvement people who are redesigning some piece of the organization. So it includes them all, plus a whole lot of subject matter experts and consultants that help leaders make the changes necessary. So it's a crazy landscape, and includes just a whole lot of different people in it.
I have to tell you, I mean, you have several free books on your website, and including the Leadership Framework for Organization Architects. But I have to say, okay, and I tweeted this out the other week, as I was really disappointed when I downloaded it, because you should be making people pay for this stuff. This is pretty good stuff.
Well, I thank you, Joe. I'm glad you found value in it, and I hope other people find value in it. It's really a great observation, and I have to tell you, you're not the first one to ask me this question. What's on the website, I hope, is the essentials or the fundamentals. I am working on other digital products and experiences that'll take people further, and we are, believe it or not, the studio is a for-profit company, so we are going to have to charge for some things, but we wanted, we have a vision of a world where all the leaders have the knowledge, skills, abilities that they need to reimagine and reinvent and recreate, their organization or a piece of their organization, and so that it creates value for multiple stakeholders as opposed to taking from one and giving to another one. So the word we use is sustainable excellence, and trying to achieve sustainable excellence. So we view our job as to provide tools, techniques, technologies to help with that journey. But we wanted everybody to have the fundamentals, and those fundamentals, people have been generous with me and the research we've done and the work we've done over the last 25 years. And so I just wanted to share the essence and the fundamentals of what it is we're about and what the process is about. And that way people can decide for themselves whether this is something they'd like to pursue and go further and in the process.
Well, what was this framework built upon? I mean, what's the crux of this framework?
So there's two frameworks one is embedded in the other. So there's a leadership framework that we call the leadership framework for organization architects, just so that it differentiates it from all the other leadership frameworks. But the leadership framework really took shape. It's the culmination of many years, a couple of decades worth of work, but it really took shape when I conducted a research study with CEOs who led successful transformations resulting in a Baldrige Award. And I chose that group because the Baldrige criteria requires that they create ever-improving results across a comprehensive scorecard. So they can't be great just based on financials, or they can't be great just based on a great place to work or whatever. They have to be able to create a place that people are doing great work and enjoying their job, serving customers. Customers are delighted, so they come back and spend more money with us, repeat business. They bring their friends, referral business, and we grow the top line and the investors are happy. And we also create win-wins with suppliers that help us do an even better job with customers. And then we do this in a way that the community loves to have us, because we're doing it in a way that's, conscious of the community and society we're in, and ethical. And we're doing it in a way that's good for the natural environment, which is really the future generations. And so we avoid stealing from future generations. So that's why I chose the Baldrige Group. And we studied CEOs and how they led their transformations over the protracted period of time, because most of their journeys took 5 to 10 years sometimes to fully transform a company. And they made progress and got results along the way, but the full transformation took a while. Well, we studied them and we talked to them and inductively built a framework that was common to them, that had the common elements that they used to lead the journey. And so that's the genesis of it. It came from that. And then we've infused it with all the application experience that we've had over the years. And now we continue to develop it and refine the application of it.
Well, I have to ask you, because I always remember Tom Peters' books from years ago, and I off the top of my head, I forget the name of it, okay, where he picked out the 10 most successful companies, or 10 successful companies, or might have been The Art of Corporate Success or something. I don't remember.
In Search of Excellence.
In Search of Excellence, yes. You go back and you look at them, and a lot of them companies aren't excellent anymore. All right. Is that true with the Baldrige? Have those companies pretty much sustained? Is there a higher level of sustainability in them? Do you know?
Yeah, well, we do know there is a higher level of sustainability. There's been a few cases that they didn't do so well after winning the award and weren't able to sustain it. In those cases, when you dig into them, it was almost something was explainable from an external environment perspective. And so Baldrige Award companies are really great at learning. They're really great at making the system work and getting it all lined up and high performing. But it's not a panacea for external factors that, you don't predict. And while Baldrige companies that are doing it well are often better at predicting what's going on in the external environment, there's some that still get surprised and things happen that are beyond their control that have made them lose track. So there's one group, a very small group of a few sensational cases where major market factors, they declined in performance. There's another group that leadership changed and they stopped pursuing excellence as a conscious effort. In other words, they had these great systems in place, but they stopped pursuing it and creating new goals, and they took their eye off the ball, if you will. And those organizations tended to level off and or decline, because you stop pushing the organization to move forward and entropy takes over and it declines. And so it requires, to stay there requires continual learning. While the majority of Baldrige organizations that I'm familiar with have built learning loops into their systems. And so it became part of not only their systems, but their culture. And that became something that they continued on, because the world changes on us. So there's no point where we can say, okay, we know the answer of how this company should run and we're done, right? So a design is never finished. We're always rethinking the design of the company and reinventing it, because the world around us is changing. And in fact, we're facing a really big shift these days with the whole digital aspect of business, and which creates great possibilities for us, but also creates great challenges for organizations. And if we're not redesigning to take advantage of the technology, you can bet our competitors are. So it's a continuous thing. So all of them haven't continued. Baldrige is not perfect and it's not a panacea. It's a great set of questions to help you learn. But if you take your eye off the ball and stop using it to learn, you're going to experience the same kind of decline anybody else would. So Baldrige organizations aren't bulletproof. They're just good role models, and they're companies we can learn from. And they're companies that are doing it in a way that creates a balanced set of results. So they're not just taking from one to make something else happen for a short-term period of time, which is not sustainable in the just keep it going sense of the word.
What's the best way for someone to connect up with you?
Well, the first way is organizationdesignstudio.com, and there's several ways to connect with us there. You can, you can contact us through that site. There's several social media places where we've started putting stuff, and we're going to attempt to build a conversation and a community out there in the social media. But my direct email is john@organizationdesignstudio.com. So if you want to email me directly, I answer all my own mail. I don't even have a virtual assistant that does that. So when you hear back from me, it's me.
It's really you. Huh?
It's really me. John@organizationdesignstudio.com is the email.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. This podcast will be available on Business 901 iTunes Store, the Business 901 website. So thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thanks, Joe.